This is my photography project on Jamel Shabazz. Shabazz is an iconic street photographer who captures the essence of the 80s and 90s in African American and Latino communities. Continuing on to the next photo of Shabazz, he was born sometime during the 1960s, although his actual birth date is not on record anywhere where I could find it. I was also unable to find any information on his education, although I assume he had at least some form of primary education. He was born and raised in Brooklyn, New York, in an area known as the Red Hook section. He credits being born in this part of New York City for his inspiration and success because Brooklyn was home to many immigrants from African and Caribbean nations, and he doesn't believe that he would have been able to capture such diversity anywhere else. His father was also a photographer in the U.S. Navy, and he states that being surrounded by the political climate of the 60s, as well as his own father's photographs, he was inspired to pick up a camera at age 15. He started to photograph his family and his friends, which is where I begin to resonate with him personally. While I have grown up in a very different area with a very different culture, I'm inspired by what I see around me, such as my friends and my family, and I frequently take photographs of them. When Shabazz was only 17, he joined the army and was stationed in Germany for 3 years. There he met a man named Phil Harris, who was also a photographer, and he also did not partake in any drugs or alcohol, which was very unusual during the time. But this inspired Shabazz even more and set him down the right path once he got home. Leonard Freed, who photographed the next photo, was also an inspiration for Shabazz. Freed was also born in Brooklyn, New York, but during the 1930s, and he traveled the world taking photographs of different cultures and communities. He is most famous for capturing the American Civil Rights Movement and Martin Luther King Jr. The next photo down is by James Van der Zee, who was born in 1886 and is known for portraits of Black New Yorkers and being a leading figure from the Harlem Renaissance. One more photographer that Shabazz draws inspiration from is Gordon Parks. He photographed the life of New York around the same time as Shabazz, and their styles are most related to one another. Shabazz is also an award winner and spokesman for the Gordon Parks Foundation. As you scroll down to the gallery of photos below, you can see how Shabazz looked for aspects of culture and diversity when creating his images. His mission was to extensively document various aspects of New York through youth culture, social conditions, the subway system, and the streets. A quote from the New York Times says, "Where others saw danger and decay, Mr. Shabazz saw an opportunity to represent the complexity of an imperiled generation of Black and Latino young people who are creating an empowering and influential urban culture." I personally love this aspect of Shabazz because he didn't turn away from the streets and instead decided to show others that the communities who others most commonly looked away from actually had a lot to offer. These communities had some of the most rich culture and were some of the most diverse in America at that time. After watching the Everybody Street documentary, these images are what really made me inspired to go to Boston myself and try my own hand at street photography. Although his subjects frequently pose for him, I think that's what gives his images life and personality. If he just took pictures of the time, I feel like they would be actually a lot more down and dreary due to the alcohol and the drugs and the civil rights movement during that time. But instead, he decided to capture the people during this time. He tried to capture their personality and how they still lived their life even though all of this was going on. Further down is a quote stating that he resonates with protest songs and unrest because that is the era that he grew up in. It made sense to capture what he was seeing and feeling on the streets of New York instead of looking elsewhere. You can look through this gallery below where I tell you some of the contributions he has made to the art community and society. Over the years, Jamel has volunteered, working with a wide range of organizations centered on inspiring young people in the field of photography and social responsibility. He has been a teaching artist with the Rush Philanthropic Arts Foundation, Bronx Museum's Teen Council Youth Program, the International Center for Photography, Friends of the Island Academy, and the Studio Museum in Harlem's Expanding the Walls project. Adding to his community service, he has also worked extensively with the Mural Arts Program in Germantown, Pennsylvania, accumulating into a mural of his images which are presently on display. Shabazz's goal was to contribute to the preservation of world history and culture, and volunteered, working with a wide range of organizations centered on inspiring young people in the field of photography and social responsibility. I personally think that he has done that, and without all of his photographs, with the help of many other people who photographed during this time period, I do not think we'd really be able to understand and know what was going on during that time. The personality that comes out in these pictures is what inspires me to continue to take pictures of people. I love the expressions and the attitudes, and I wish that people were more like this now, in the sense that they like to show off their personality. I feel like people now are a lot more closed off, and you're not really able to get that personality out in photographs unless you do something crazy. But Jamel was able to capture that, and he really inspires me myself, and I hope that he inspires you.